Hi, my name is Shane and welcome to Skyline Psychology. Today we'll explore some common unhelpful thinking styles that can hinder problem solving and strengthen negative thought patterns, as well as contribute to the experience of anxiety. The first one we'll look at is called catastrophizing. This involves imagining and expecting the worst possible outcome in a situation, often blowing things right out of proportion and overestimating the potential negative consequences. Making a mountain out of a molehill, a storm in a teacup, over-egging the pudding, a brouhaha over nothing, a roaring mouse, a tempest in a thimble, 1 hour later, excitement about a trivial matter, a big fuss over a trifle, just to name a few. When we seek out the worst case scenario, we're more likely to heighten our anxiety. Another thinking style to watch out for is overgeneralization. It's when we draw broad conclusions based on a single event or limited evidence. For example, assuming that because one job application was rejected, all future applications will also be rejected. Stereotyping also falls under this thinking style. This happens when we believe unfairly that all people or things with a particular characteristic are the same. For example, people who vote for a political party all share the same beliefs and values. The next unhelpful thinking style we'll look at is black and white thinking. It's the tendency to see things in absolute terms without considering the nuances or complexities in a situation. This involves categorizing experiences or people as either all good or all bad. It can also be called all or nothing thinking. This adds to anxiety as we overlook nuance and limit realistic perspectives. So some examples are believing that anything less than perfect is a failure, not recognizing that progress and learning can be valuable outcomes, or believing that one can only feel complete love or hate towards a person, place, or thing, rather than acknowledging mixed or evolving emotions. The unhelpful thinking style of personalisation is when we take things too personally and assume that everything is about or caused by ourselves. It often leads to excessive self-blame for events that may have little or nothing to do with our actions or abilities. Associating personal blame with external events can worsen anxiety and self-doubt. A good example is feeling like you're to blame when someone else doesn't have a good time when they're out with you. Say you've invited them to a movie and the movie you watched they didn't like. Is it really your fault that they've got such bad taste? Filtering is another unhelpful thinking style where we focus only on the negative aspects of a situation while ignoring the positive elements. So this involves magnifying the negative and minimizing the positive aspects of an experience. Filtering by its definition means you aren't getting the full picture, and when the parts of the picture we see are negative or concerning, we'll be more likely to become anxious. When we do cognitive reframing, such as the ABC model, which I cover in a different video, we're trying to do the exact opposite. We filter in more information to create more nuance and shades of grey. A good example of filtering would be, despite having received a high score on a test, you focus on all the wrong or bad answers. Mind reading is the next one, and you already know what I'm going to say about it, so let's move on. Nah, not so fast. Turns out we're pretty bad at mind reading, so hear me out. Mind reading is the tendency to assume that we know what others are thinking, often in a negative or critical manner, without sufficient evidence. It involves making negative assumptions about other people's thoughts and intentions. This can be triggering of anxiety as we can easily misinterpret social cues and anticipate negative outcomes. Imagine that you're having dinner with someone you've recently started dating, and that person is uncommonly quiet throughout dinner. You ask if everything's all right, and they say, yeah, everything's fine. Do you believe it? Or do you immediately think to yourself, he or she must not like me? Return the crystal ball from wherever you got it from. It doesn't work that way. The more things we take responsibility for that are outside of our control, the more out of control and anxious we'll feel. Speaking of crystal balls, jumping to conclusions is also a strong associate of the mind-reading, unhelpful thinking style. It's about making assumptions or drawing conclusions without having enough evidence or considering alternative explanations. It often leads to misunderstandings and unnecessary worry. Misinterpreting situations is a surefire way to ramp up your anxiety. Next, we have emotional reasoning, and it's when we let our emotions guide our thoughts and decisions. We assume that because we feel a certain way, it must be true. For example, I feel like a failure, so I must be a failure. I woke up not feeling great, so today will likely be a bad day. This thinking style can amplify anxiety when we assume emotional states as evidence for negative beliefs. Next along are should and must statements, which can be unhelpful thinking styles. This is where we impose rigid expectations and rules on ourselves or others, using words like should, must, or ought to, can create unrealistic standards and lead to feelings of guilt or frustration. Keep in mind, these rules aren't always bad. For example, I shouldn't get drunk and drive home, but they do have the potential to create unworkable expectations. Not being able to meet ultra-high standards can be anxiety-provoking, especially when you believe you should be meeting them. Discounting the positive is another unhelpful thinking style, and it's when we dismiss or downplay positive experiences, achievements, or compliments, and focus only on the negatives. We're rejecting positive experiences by insisting they don't count. This undermines self-esteem, perpetuates negative thinking, and basically sucks the joy out of life. When we discount the positives, we're leaving ourselves open to anxiety because we're ignoring the information that can give us balance. For example, someone compliments you on your nice t-shirt, and you say in your head, or worse yet aloud, "Oh, you're just being nice." Or, "This old thing, I got it from an op shop." Yes, that old thing. Take the damn compliment. It's crucial to be aware of these unhelpful thinking styles and challenge them with more balanced and rational thoughts. I'll demonstrate this challenging/reframing process in another video, so look out for that one if you haven't already seen it. By recognizing and adjusting our thinking patterns, we can promote healthier mental processes and enhance problem-solving abilities. Levels of anxiety can fall as a result of understanding and changing the way we think about events we encounter. Just before I go, I'll outline a few strategies to address unhelpful thoughts and reduce anxiety, in case you're sitting there thinking, yeah, this is me, now what? Well, 1. Do some cognitive restructuring and challenging of irrational thoughts. You can learn more about that in the ABC model video. But some examples are, you're not that boring, so if they're not having fun, then maybe it's a them problem. A good result is a good result. Stop aiming for perfection because it's unattainable. As a good friend tells me often, perfection is the opposite of done. Your mind reading and crystal ball interpreting abilities are probably bad. You're no Sherlock either. But if you think you're so good, tell me next week's winning lotto numbers and I'll let you know how it goes. People who watch this video to the end are all amazing, super attractive, and just the best people. Number 2, practice mindfulness and grounding techniques. Mindfulness of the breath is a good one to do. Notice the breath, say at your nostrils. Notice your mind wandering when it does. Accept this, let the thought go, and then bring your attention back to the physical sensation of the breath. Sensory grounding involves noticing 5 things that you can see, hear, and touch, and silently naming them to yourself. This gets you out of your head and back into your body and the world. 3, engage in self-care activities to manage stress. All the things you could be doing to improve your physical and mental health, but don't. Eat unprocessed, natural, healthy foods, sleep well, socialize with friends and people you like, that sort of stuff. 4, build resilience and cultivate positive thinking habits. A gratitude journal is an excellent thing to do, for example. The first entry of your journal could be, today I learned about unhelpful thinking styles from an amazing video recorded by a handsome and clever presenter. I am grateful that I had the opportunity. 5, seek support from a mental health professional. I think I know of 1 or 2 that might be able to help. So I hope you found this video helpful, and thank you for watching till the end. If you liked what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe for more videos like this in the future. Leave a comment if you want to comment or have any suggestions on what other videos you might like to see. As always, for bookings and appointments, please reach us through our website, and I'll see you at the next one.